In another day of scrims against the Dallas Empire, I wanted to go back to this one and upload this map and really break down the way things worked out on Crossroads Strike against the Dallas Empire. So we are on board with SCUMP. I think he drops like 47 or somewhere in there, so he has a really good map. But throughout the entirety of the beginning of the year here, this is a map that Chicago as a whole has been a little bit behind on. So from the very get-go, when it comes to like Moscow and some of the maps that are just a tiny bit bigger, as SCUMP just did a really nice job of pushing out the bottom of the map, which means now they'll have spawns for P2. But getting back to what I was saying before, when it comes to the bigger maps like a Moscow that has some longer lines of sight where you can have dashy and formal and just lock down those lanes, they've been pretty good at. Where they've struggled or where teams have really beat them are on smaller maps like this. Even when they haven't scrimmed the Atlanta phase in a couple weeks now, but this is a map that Atlanta is notorious when it comes to just really beating up on people because it's so small and their SMGs are so fast and their SMGs are so good. So it'll be interesting to see as time goes on if Chicago can develop a little bit further on this map and how they'll play it moving forward against some of these teams with cracked SMGs like your Dallas, like your Atlanta, so on and so forth. But as of right now, they did a really nice job they did spawn left-hand side of the map to start this map. So we saw SCUMP make that play down towards ice, down towards the bottom of the map. He was able to push out those P2 spawns, which is what is giving them this lead right now. They're going to get the last 20 seconds inside this P2 hardpoint, and from here, we'll see if they're able to push out over towards P3 or P4. I will say that if you're Dallas, even though right now you're leaving P2 with a deficit, it's not the end of the world, especially because the change to P4 has made such a big difference in this game. I thought, and most people thought, that with the move to P4, that would make it a lot better. It would make it a lot easier to hold P4. But it's just kind of, I don't know. I don't know if this was the intended change, but at least before on P4, if you push the top side of the map, you could push out P4, you could regain those spawns, and you could get time inside of P4. With the new change, it's really tough to break this spawn and get time inside of P4 both. As right here, you can see that SCUMP did spawn in the back. So at the end of P3, it's going to be done here in the next 15 seconds or so. We'll see if, and just like that, I was curious if they were going to get pushed out. They did get team wiped there, and that was a really smart job from Dallas of they were able to get 4 down, and rather than just sit inside of P3 and take the time inside of P3, they decided to push out that spawn and really set up for time inside of P4. So really nice job there out of Dallas of just thinking ahead. And you know what? We'll give up those 10, 12, 14 seconds that were left inside of P3 for pushing out P4 so we can get the time inside of P4. And just as we're saying that, Dallas goes down. They get team wiped. Chicago is now inside of P4. And this is where it's so tough, right? You just saw Formal right there with a 2-piece where all he really has to do is just lock down that top lane with his AR. And as soon as you're able to do that, you can really maximize and get the rest of this time here. So it's been a little bit of a frantic back and forth, but the biggest story from the first set of rotations is that Chicago got bad spawn. SCUMP was able to push the bottom side of the map and get spawns for P2. As it rotated to P3, kind of went back and forth throughout P3, and then as P4 popped, Chicago did a nice job of just pushing out those P4 spawns, getting the majority of the time that was left, which is why you see a 40-point lead here at the end of the first set of rotations. But with that, best thing about scrims, and especially against a team like Dallas, is that we can hear exactly what they're talking about. So without further ado, let me go ahead. Let me turn up the team comms. I'm still going to drop back in. I'm still going to talk to you guys on things that I feel like are super important. But for now, let's go ahead. Let's listen in as Chicago tries to flip here towards P2 on the second set of rotations.
P3 dead. I'm one shot.
On top of tank in P1. Back it up.
I'm trying to help you here, Seth.
I'm hitting right.
On
Right.
top, Crim. Oh, the guy
Good
is
job.
tires.
I got killed from Cat, bro.
Okay.
Backside hill and Cat.
Cat,
I agree.
out there.
Though.
Cat Shotzi dead.
Nice, too. I'm gonna hit across
Need help,
cat.
need help,
I'm hitting
right?
across cat.
Okay, go ahead.
You me back right, me guys.
Yo, top stand
I
dead.
picked it up. Kyler's cat, not weak.
Kyler's cat, Kyler's cat dead.
Nice.
Shots
One
back
right,
left.
deep back right, Illy. Deep back right, Illy. One's close barrel on you.
Barrel, one shot then. Back
Hitting
left,
cross cat,
two.
hitting cross cat, hitting cross cat.
Nose up back
Wait
left.
for each other, wait for each other.
Yeah,
wait for
I'm
each other.
helping you
I'm
back
top
left,
cat
bro.
right
Oh,
now.
he got me, dude.
I'm here,
One
shut
back
the main,
crates, back crates, and they spawn on time.
One guy deep, Porter. He's
There's
back
three on
crates.
top.
Cat dead.
Hill dead.
All the way back crates.
More
Porter.
deep back, Grim.
Yeah, deep back, yep.
Top crate, Shotsy.
Crim in the back,
dead.
Crim in the back. One
Let's
shot,
get
Crim
in
in
the
the
back,
back, one
let's get in
shot. They
Yeah,
spawn
he
there.
got me,
He's hitting cat
He's
step, cat step.
absolute, and one's in the
Cat
back.
step,
They're
cat
still
step.
spawning there. Still spawning
Cat
there.
steps, cat steps.
I help, I help.
Cat stairs not peeking me.
I'm telling now.
I'm hitting left.
Cat stairs dead. Cat stairs dead. I'm just finessing right
Nice,
here.
I'm telling you.
I will say again, that was a really nice play out of Dallas. Rather than push inside of this P2 hardpoint when they did have spawns, rather than do that, they were just came up off spawns. They were a little bit more patient. You saw Huke with the 2-piece, which secured them the next 5-10 seconds or so inside that hardpoint. But again, Envoy's able to pick up a couple. They're able to flip spawns for P2. And this is now a couple times we've seen Chicago not have those initial spawns for P2. They're able to flip. They're able to get the time towards the end of P2. And that's how they're holding on to this 40-second lead here. Let's go ahead. Let's listen back in.
He's right, deep right, deep right. He's on top of the
Close center
crates.
too.
I just
One
showed the
shot,
Shotsy.
dude. One shot,
Top
right.
tank, shots dead. One more back up to me. Back up to Illy.
I'm picking up
Illy,
cat.
dead,
Grim was
I got
still
two.
right. He might flank mid.
More
No,
left,
he's top cat.
Kyler.
What the-
One shot, let's go. One shot, let's go. Kyler.
Cat dead, cat dead.
Last guy, one shot. He's
Give
sitting on
him
Eddie.
mid-door,
Sitting
Pick
on
up
Eddie.
cat, pick
Sitting
up
on Eddie.
cat.
I have cat.
All right,
Mid-door Shotsy, one bullet.
Outer, wow.
I'm one cat. Shit.
2 and Hill, one's cat. All right,
Don't flip.
one in Hill, one left. 2 and Hill, 2
Let's
and
get
Hill.
out together,
Back
guys.
up, back up,
They're
back up.
gonna try to. Yo, I flip behind him. I flip behind him. P1.
It's outer,
One
one's
cat,
outer.
I can kill this guy, right?
Yo, Shotsy
Left
back
hill,
here.
left hill,
Shotsy,
left hill.
one bullet on time.
I
One
spawned
bullet.
down. My spawn quick.
Okay.
He
Ice
went
spawn,
cat or
ice
something?
spawns, ice spawns.
I'm looking nice to mid. Yo, behind me, P2. I spawned with me, P2.
I'm helping you on ult.
He saw me, bro.
Watch your
Fucking
mid-door.
low right. They might mantle up
All
right,
right.
guys.
I'm watching
Yeah.
right, I'm watching right.
Quarter.
Mid door, dead.
Yeah,
One
flash
cat.
right,
He
flash
can
right,
watching
cat.
flash right, flash right.
I just gave you
I need
upstep. I'm
defense.
just
I
trying
need
to play
defense. Yo,
slow.
top cat, guys, top cat. One guy's top
Cat,
clip.
one shot.
One guy's
Cliff
top fence
dead,
also.
cliff dead. One more cliff.
Absolute
Nice.
Shotsy, nice.
Good shit, Brandon. Good shit, Brandon.
I have
Yo,
a
one
good
guy's top
shot.
cat. I can't
I'm in
top
you,
him.
I'm in you.
I get
Tyler
trying
dead,
to
cat.
I don't have a trophy. I don't have a
Oh,
trophy.
I got
I'm
some
pushed
for you.
out.
Peek right.
Block.
Someone block back right. Someone block back right.
Yeah, I got it.
I don't see anything P1. I don't
Nothing
see
right.
anything
Nothing right.
P1.
They're all
I have
I'm
a
watching
cat.
cat from him. Watch cat from him.
Cat, one
Barrel,
shot. There's two
Ender,
cat,
shit
two
on.
cat.
I'm watching cat from
He went bottom right too. Shotsy bottom right.
Cat from
And again, for the first time, I want to bring up our mini map here so I can just kind of draw what happened there. So Chicago did a really nice job. By the way, P4 is now up here. I know that we're aware. I haven't changed the graphic yet. But as Chicago was coming up off of spawn and they were inside of P3, as that was happening, Dallas was spawning out over right side of P1. They were actually able to push out and they were able to hit both top P3 and this mid door. And they did a really nice job of taking control of P3. And as that happened, I thought that the ARs from Chicago did a really nice job. Rather than, biting on he's one shot, whatever, rather than doing that, they just stayed set up over here. And essentially what that did is that took SCUMP, and we saw him come up off of spawn, and SCUMP also spawned back over here. Now, as that happened, what essentially happened is that allowed SCUMP off of spawn to come here, get this pinch right here on Illy. He got that kill. And then he was able to push in and finish off this time inside of P3. So just a really nice, patient, smart, intelligent move from the ARs out of OpTic rather than push into P3 and think we can finish this kill. Let's try to get time. If they end up dying, they give up those spawns and they give up that time for P4. So overall, just a really nice job of them just being patient, finishing the kills inside of P3, keeping the spawns for P4 so that now they can build on top of that lead as P4 pops. Let's listen back in.
One shot, Kyler. Shoot
Billy
it.
dead.
Laying at the box, laying next to the hill, right next to the hill. He's on the box.
One cross, another cross.
Kyler,
He's on the heady. There's 2 on time, 2 close time.
I got time. One more on time.
Help
Shotsy.
him,
Off
help
time.
him.
Laying down front. Yo,
Yo,
he's
top first screen.
Close time Shotsy. Close time Shotsy.
It's close shot. Two back left.
Yeah, he's deep street.
Another
One's
one.
on time.
No. One's behind you, P1.
Yeah, behind me P1. He got off time.
Hill dead.
Nice.
More back left. Little left.
Back left, Kyler.
And also, this is what we were talking about when it comes to P4. Think about how many times OpTic has gotten team wiped right there, and they're still getting that old P4 spawn. So even though they got wiped like 2 or 3 different times, they were still able to keep those back spawns and prevent Dallas from getting time inside of P4. I don't know. I don't love the change to that new P4. It just seems like it's too hard to break from the top hand side of the map.
They're spawning parallel behind you. P1.
Yeah, he got me.
I'm pushing the right.
He's on here, right?
I'm hitting right. You're top cat. Shotzi. Shotzi's cat.
This guy's deep left.
He's gonna go back and forth with it.
He's
I
still
got
here.
him
He's still here. I'm
Yo, he's deep
baiting.
down.
I'm
Deep
baiting.
left, really dead.
Nice
dead.
one.
I can't even see
I'm
him.
going across cat, guys. I'm going across cat.
Water deep shoot dead.
Nice, shoot that.
Kyler on. Kyler on.
Let's go,
Kyler
let's go,
on.
let's go,
Kyler
let's
on.
Nice. I'm getting across. I'm going across cat, guys.
Good job, Brandon.
I need help. I need help.
He's already left.
I'm
These
here,
guys are getting
Mike.
trick
Good top
shotted.
set.
One more.
Top set Porter. Top
One
set Porter.
more crane. One more crane.
One
in
guy's
the
on me. Yo, one guy's fence. One guy's
Crane.
fence.
Come in the back. Dead.
I'm behind fence. They're gonna be spawning P1.
Barrel
I
room 2
think.
or something.
Two on me to the left, guys.
Barrel room.
Ender absolute.
And above me and in the back. They spawn there. Crim deep crates.
Yeah.
Hit the left.
Yo,
Go fast.
deep
Go
crates,
fast.
deep crates.
Illy
They're
hurt
all
back
there.
there.
All four there.
Two barrel room.
Yo,
Close.
close Kyler. He's hitting you.
I have help.
He's hurt.
Crim on the
Kyler
street
dead.
dead.
Nice barrel room.
Top
too.
cat. Top
Stand
cat.
back,
He jumped out.
stand back.
Jumped out low
Three
right.
guys. Last guy Shotzi.
I'm
He's on
looking in the
time.
back.
He's on time.
I'm gonna hit.
And I'll also say that this is like multiple P2s in a row where Dallas had those initial spawns, but they were so worried about getting the cut from bottom ice and across mid cat that they weren't really able to get any time together inside of P2. So just right there, you were able to see them put like 15 or 20 points on the board. But if you're Chicago, all in all, that's a win, right? Because they had spawns, they had map control, they had basically everything they needed for P2, and you still only held them to like 15 or 20 points inside of P2. Let's listen in as it's about to end as it rotates over to P3.
Nice.
Absolute,
I
Kyler.
don't see cat.
I'm holding my spawn.
Stack kill, guys.
Yep.
I'm getting
I'll
cat.
be there.
Actually, I killed it.
I'm playing
Watch
back
him
door.
mid door.
I have
I'm
cat.
playing back door, Dill.
Yo, one's low
Mid
right.
door,
Ender.
in mid door.
Absolute
Hitting
low
the
right.
right.
Outer,
Absolute right
outer.
under.
2 on time, guys. 2 on time.
We flip.
High
Nice,
Brandon.
Yeah.
We're pushing him.
I stuck him.
I'm flooding him.
Yo, top cat.
Left street.
back.
I'm absolute.
Kyler dead. Back door, dead too.
Outer
Outer maybe.
street. Dead.
Outer,
Nice,
back
back
door.
Nice kills right there out of Scump.
They're gonna be cat. They're gonna be cat.
Yo, I have your OE on
He
back
just
door.
flew in.
I have your back door OE.
He's cat.
Cat weak.
I have your back door still.
Cat. Kyler, one shot
Back
cat.
door, one shot.
Kyler, one shot cat. Last guy.
Dead.
Dude, you guys are
Let's
fucking.
And just like that, so Scump drops 47 right there. But down towards the end, they realized that all they really needed to do was just hold tight, just win the trade battles inside of P3. And with that, they're able to come away with a 250 to 158 victory. And for me, that's pretty encouraging if you are an OpTic Chicago fan, because if they start beating teams like Atlanta and like Dallas with super fast, really cracked SMGs, now they can win the smaller maps and the bigger maps. So if you guys are new around here, you enjoy this sort of content, make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Leave a like as always, as it really helps out the channel. And with that, guys, thank you so much. We will see you in tomorrow's upload.